Okay, people, welcome back to another issue of Wayne Talks. I'm making this video today because I've had a lot of comments on some of my videos of very close-minded Westerners, which I pretty much can say that it's kind of a natural Western view of things, that everybody should be the same and everybody should live under the same rules and the same lifestyle. And one of the reasons why you like to go to these countries like Thailand is because the culture is so much different than your own. There's beauty in differences. If everybody was the same, it would be quite boring, wouldn't it? I think we need to honestly put philosophy into our schools, into our teaching, and teach philosophy at a much higher level. Not just you got social studies, but I don't even think that. Honestly, I think our social studies in the U.S., for one, is very lacking. Our school system, period, is. We have such a closed-minded, ignorant view of the world. No respect for other cultures. Yet we love to look at it. We love the intricate, the little, knickknacks that we can find from them. But we don't respect them at all. We feel everybody should do what we feel they should do. And that goes back to everybody feeling that a lot of Western societies pressure the rest of the world to be like them, and they rebel. They don't want to be like us. They don't have the same values and views that we do. And Western society is mostly a Christian value system. I know some people are going to argue that, there's deviations to everything, but pretty much most Western society is based on Christian values. What the Christian churches view as good and bad and right and wrong, and that's most of Europe and America and the Americas, and it's kind of sad. When you go to other cultures like Buddhists or Muslims or Hindus, we try to impose our values on them. I mean, we've been doing that forever. Look at the Crusades. Oh, you don't believe in our God? We're going to kill you. You could call me a Christian hater if you want or whatnot. I don't hate anybody, but I don't like the uneducated mentality that comes with some people with a very closed-minded view of how everybody should be. Speaking to Westerners and stuff, some people are very hardcore religious, Bible beaters, they call them. That's fine. They can do what they want with their life. That's what they choose. That's what they choose. I don't knock them for it. If they're happy with it, they're happy with it. What I don't like is when they try to pressure others into their own beliefs, and they force it down your throat. That, again, is what's been going on in Western society forever. Now, out of the moderates, how many people like those people to show up at their door and try to hammer something into them that they don't believe in? It's not very pleasant, right? That's the same thing that we do to other cultures as Western societies. We go in and we hammer what we believe into them, as well as the disinformation that we're given too, that this just because somebody doesn't have running water in their house, that's such a bad way to live. They're impoverished. They're having a really bad life. Some people, actually, that's the way they've grown up. That's the way they live. That's what their culture is. That's what they're used to. That's what they like. They're used to it. Maybe they look at it as going down to the river with a bucket to get water and carrying it back is a good way to stay healthy. Hey, so you got to look at it from other angles. You got to see it for what it is. If you want to know if somebody's happy or not with their society, ask them. Don't assume. Ask. Hey, do you like your culture? Now, this goes to other videos I have where I filmed Thai red light districts. And I get a lot of people telling me, oh, it's so, they're all sex slaves and they're all abused women. And I can tell you firsthand, I know that's not true. And most Thais will tell you that too. I'm sure there is some forms of sex trafficking going on and sex slavery at some point in there, but very low percentages. You have the Nigerians, some of the girls from Nigeria that have been brought there, I know, are under violent pimps from Nigeria. But that's outsiders coming into Thailand too. You got to realize, for the most part, Thais that do it, some people say they're disenfranchised, they don't have the education. Thais have a good education system. So I wouldn't put it there. People are pretty educated. As far as unemployment, Thais have one of the lower unemployments in the world, lower than the U.S. Yeah, Thais have very low unemployment levels, so it's not like people couldn't get a job, and there's not a whole lot of red tape to open a business. You could be a street vendor like that, selling, whatever. The system's very good in Thailand, if you ask me. It suits what I believe, a good form of living is. Now, do you need hot water in your house? Now, to most Americans and Westerners, we want hot water. Can't, Some Thais, though, when I first went to Thailand, I noticed somebody I know there had no hot water in their house. And Thais have like a tank outside. A lot of Thai homes are like this. And they have a tank of water outside, and it sits there, stainless steel tank or something. And during the day, the sun hits the tank, and by evening, the water's usually pretty warm in the later part of the day from the sun beating on the tank all day. But in the morning, it's ice cold, Well, I asked this guy, I said, man, and he's family, so I asked him, I said, do you want me to put in hot water heater and put in hot water for you? I'll put it all, I'll pay for everything, He didn't want it. And I thought that was a little weird, but then remember, I'm coming from another society where it's normal to have hot water, and we pretty much consider it a requirement here. In Thailand, they don't. He looked at it like this: why do I want to spend money to heat it? The sun heats the water, so in the evening when I come home, see, this is where you got to ask people. He said, when I come home in the evening, it's warm, so I take a nice warm shower when I get home. In the morning, he likes a cold shower. He's used to that. He grew up with it. In the morning, the water's cold. It helps him wake up. It's like a cup of coffee to us. So he enjoys that way of living. It doesn't bother him to live like that. Now me, I stayed at his house, and I was, oh man, it's horrible trying to get into the shower in the morning and take it. I go a couple days at a time without a shower at that point because I just feared the cold water. But that's my culture. Now should I say, oh no, you have no choice, I'm going to put hot water in your house? No. That's the same thing that Western society has been doing to these people for years, going into their country and telling them how they should live. We shouldn't do that. Now, we all talk about how we do that and that we shouldn't, but when you really go and think about the nuts and bolts of it, do we actually stand by what we say we think? No. We go in and always. I get comments on my Facebook by a lot of very ignorant people a lot of times. I hate to say it. Have very closed minds, very closed views, telling me that Thailand's a third world country and the people are so miserable and it's a cesspool of horrible this and that and it's corrupt and this and that. All right. Just about every government is corrupt. I don't care who you are. The difference with American government, let's say I'm just using America as a point of view, is we put a law there to say that it's allowed. We make you pull a permit to build onto your house, property. Right? First we sell you the land. So you buy the land that you own now. We tax you to buy it. And then we say, oh, well, if you want to add a garage to your house, you got to pay us a permit fee to do it. You got to pay us for this, pay us for that, more taxes. Your taxes go up. But you own the land. We put in associations and we put in code enforcement for neighborhoods to say what color you can paint your house, what you can do with your own property. Isn't that, if you really think about it, that's just like a Cambodian, let's say, official coming down and saying that, oh, you added a wing to your house, I'm going to tax you for it. The only difference is they do it in your face. Here in America, they make it a law or a code or and make it where. This is where it's kind of dumb to me. Basically, they get away with all this. Now, here's another thing. Get a ticket in a court, right? You get a ticket from a cop here in America, right? You go to court, and now you can even beat the ticket, really, and you're still going to pay court costs to go to court. Here you are found not guilty, even if you plead no contest and the judge still says not guilty. You have to pay court costs. They give you a court cost. Isn't that the same thing? It's like, hey, we're going to write you a ticket, whether it's true or not, we don't care. We're going to get our money out of you. We want to extort you. Hey, like I said, as far as corruption goes, it's in every government, every culture. Some just make it legal. I mean, look at a lobby. All right, come on. What? We give it the name lobbying. so that we can say that it's an official thing that we do that's not criminal. It's not bribery. We can lobby our Senate, we can lobby our congressmen, we lobby. That's basically bribing somebody. That's saying, hey, I'm going to send you on a cruise, we're going to hang out, we're going to do this, we're going to do. Oh, you want to get this bill passed to build a sugarcane field in Alabama. Let's just say, even though I know it would die there. But hey, we'll back that. I'll give you $10 million towards that. I'll give you another $10 million towards your next campaign. But you go and change the zoning on this district so that I can build multifamily housing and make $50 billion. Okay. It's bribery. We just make it legal. That's all that is. That's bribing our officials. Now, at least in Thailand, it's in your face. Or in other countries, it's in your face. It's they don't have to hide behind their laws for it. Should it happen? Honestly, no. All society should be free of it. But guess what? Anytime you have a government in a society like that, it happens. People try to gain power and gain wealth through, finding ways to squeeze it out of the people who have no protection from it. It's just the way systems are. So when people say that Thailand's corrupt, well, there you go right there. What system isn't? I just kind of like the in-your-faceness of Thailand. I get pulled over. Don't waste my time making me go through your whole big spiel of going to your courtroom and all this crap. I get pulled over, I hand the cop 100 baht and I drive away. 200 baht. I'm not saying that happens. I'm not saying anybody does it. I'm just saying that I would rather have that system than having to go through all the hoops you have to in America to pay the bribe. Right? Hey, and usually the bribe's going to be cheaper in the other country that way anyway. Plus, it's going to the cop to feed his family. The lower guy's not going to the big rich guy up top, So to me, that handled bribery and corrupt, governments. So that's normal anywhere. Doesn't matter if you're a Western society at the top of the world or the bottom. So now let's go into something else. Prostitution in Thailand, like I said. I actually know a Thai prostitute, not in a carnal way. I'm not a customer. It's just somebody I know, and I happen to know that that's what she does for a living. No names will be mentioned. And I also know that she is not forced by any extreme to do what she does. And she represents a very small percentage of the Thai people. Most, 98%, 99% of Thai people are not involved in the sex trade at all, in any form, not enabling it or in it, period. So, just because Thailand is viewed as like the sex tourist capital of the world, that's a very small niche market in Thailand, and it's not quite to the level you think of, but it's the most publicized market in Thailand. Thailand's biggest export is rice. I mean, why aren't people looking more at that, It's a bigger thing that involves more of the country than that, but it's because it's sex that we have such an issue with it in the Christian belief system. The Christian belief system is that it's a problem. But you got to remember, this is a Buddhist country. Their values and systems are not ours. Now, in a Buddhist society, through karma, somebody's offering a salary, basically, to provide a service that creates pleasure and enjoyment for that person. People are consenting age, everything's, if both parties are happy to do what they do, let's put it this way. Do people enjoy sex? Okay. Does the girl performing, or lady boy or boy or whoever it is performing the sex act for money, they're getting paid, maybe they enjoy what they do, maybe they're doing it just to pay the bills. How many of us go to work every day and don't enjoy our job, but we do it because it pays the bills? It takes care of us. If you don't mind doing it, if it's something you can tolerate, then if you're happy with doing what you're doing, then what's the problem? One of the people I know that's in the prostitution in Thailand has no problem with her job. She enjoys her job. It's no big thing to her. She gets to work a couple days a week and make more than most Thais do. Now here's another thing. This is how I relate this to Westerners. Movie stars make a lot of money. Being a movie star for some people is tougher than others. It's a hard life for some, it's easy for others. If you enjoy what you're doing, what's the problem doing it? So, and also the money. People are like, oh, well, there's so much money involved. That's why they're, well, yeah, you wouldn't work your job if it didn't pay you what you needed to survive, right? That's the idea, and the Buddhist idea is that you're supplying a service that doesn't hurt anybody, that actually can help, that creates pleasure for somebody. So is that a bad thing? No. Is it creating bad karma for you? No. Should you use protection and all those things? Yes. It definitely should be. But as far as it goes, it's not harming people. You understand? It's creating pleasure. Therefore, in a Buddhist mindset, this is not a bad thing, as in a job working in a slaughterhouse, killing animals all day. Now, some Americans would find that as, hey, that's a good paying job, man. They pay very well for you to kill animals all day. And some people don't have a problem shooting a cow in the head all day long. Some people don't have a problem with that. And if they don't, is that a bad job for them? No. But under Buddhist belief system, killing something is bad. It causes bad karma. In the Christian belief system, we kill things all the time, and we consider it good for the people, therefore it's not bad. Supplying a food source. But I mean, you got to look at it like that. Every culture's different. You have to open your mind and respect it. You can't go in there with your philosophy and opinions from your culture and put them on somebody else, because they might not like how you live. I personally don't really like Western society, Christian views and morals. Some morals, yes, are good, of course, but not all of them. I don't like certain things about that, and that's why I converted to Buddhism. I actually found the Buddhist society to be much friendlier in my view. For me, it worked for me. It makes me happy. The Christian view might make you happy. That's good. I'm happy for you. Now, do I want you to come over and tell me how to live my life? No. Am I going to tell you how to live yours? No. And that's the way it should be. Now, when you go to a country like Thailand, I hear so many people, I get comments, I got people telling me all the time, well, it's a third world country, it's horrible there, the people are, discussing, this, that, and the other, it's horrible, blah, blah, blah. It's actually not. Actually, it's one of the nicest places in Asia, if you ask me. Now, the living standards, what's your living standard? And in America, the living standard in America is different from the living standard in Europe, or the living standard in Africa, or the living standard in Asia. If you're happy with what you have, why do you need more? Some people are very happy without living with almost nothing. Other people have to have, like a lot of people say in America, the big SUVs and the big houses. And, to me, I find that a waste. That's my opinion. You got a 8,000 square foot home for you alone or your wife, not even any kids, and you got 15 bedrooms. I find that as a waste of space. I don't need. Why should it? To me, it creates more headache and more stuff to take care of, and things get broken and fixed. And it's just way more to maintain, and I don't really need it. To you, that might be the way you like to live. So because you like to live like that, do I have to live like that? Should you impose on me that I have to buy that huge house and I have to buy that big SUV and all this stuff? No. You shouldn't try to impose that on me. But if you take your way of living and you go to somebody else's culture and you try to impose it on them and tell them, oh, well, they're living so bad because they don't have a big SUV and they don't have these huge houses, because 8 members of a family live in a 3-bedroom place and they all sleep in the same room and they sleep on the floor on a wooden bed. That's their culture. Actually, if you go to doctors, the wooden bed thing's supposed to be good for your neck and back, a hard surface. Yes, I've lived in Thailand for a while, and I've slept on the hard surfaces like they do, and it's hard for me because I come from a country where we're used to sleeping on a cushy mattress. But that's their culture. The communal living is part of their culture. Is it a bad thing? No. I mean, if you see the respect they have for each other in their household, the way they can move around and be with each other, plus they're a very tight-knit family. It's actually beautiful to me the way they live. It's like here in the U.S. we figure, once a boy's 18 years old, he should be getting the hell out of his house, moving out on his own. Buddhist Thai culture doesn't look at it like that. They view that the boy should stay home until he's married. He should help the family, do what he does. Well, they don't help the family as much in the Western sense, but they stay home, they do stuff like that. They're not pushed out of the house so quick like that. They don't want them out like that. when they meet a wife and they start a new family, then they get another house and they do that. But that's the thing. I mean, our culture in Western society is different than theirs. So when we go to their country, all I'm saying is we got to respect their culture and their ways, and don't look down on Thais because their life is different than yours. It's a different lifestyle altogether. This is why I believe philosophy should be taught, a life philosophy more than anything, should be definitely taught in our schools and by people who know how to teach it. We have a very closed-minded Christian view of life, and it's kind of a sad thing. And this is why many other cultures in the world don't really care too much for many other Western societies, because we push our beliefs down their throat. We shouldn't do that. You should go to another culture with an open mind and just view it for what it is. And if you have a question, if somebody's having such a hard life, ask them, hey, how's your life? Are you happy? I find more happy people in Thailand than I do in the U.S. And you know, they don't have quite the Prozac needed in Thailand that we do in the U.S. When your culture is consuming so many antidepressants by the metric ton every day, that usually means something about your culture. There's something wrong, as the people are depressed. You go to Thai culture, people are pretty happy. You know, they enjoy their life, and they don't need everything we have, because their culture dictates that they live a different lifestyle than we do. It doesn't dictate it, actually, it's what they do. So again, for my viewers out there and the people who have made some interesting comments on some of my videos, understand that this is a different culture. If you're watching my Thailand videos, and you know, it's just the way they are. Now, yeah, to me, Thai bathrooms, I made a little series on the Chinese toilets in Thailand, although the Chinese call them the Korean toilet or something. Each of the Asian cultures calls it somebody else's toilet, but the Thais call it the Chinese toilet, and it's a squatter. That's the other, I guess, more acceptable name for it. And to me, that's just disgusting. I mean, I just can't deal with it. To them, though, it's normal. Now, should I go tell them they shouldn't have a squatter? No, that's their business. If they want, if they enjoy, if they don't mind using it, go right ahead. I don't use it. I don't like it. I don't have to use it. When I'm in their country, I can find a Western toilet and use it, no problem. So it's not it's one of those things. So yes, I filmed it, and yes, I found it disgusting, and I wanted to show other Americans, because I'm sure they'd be pretty shocked at seeing that video of, you know, some of the toilets that I found in Thailand. But you know what? Imagine a Thai coming to America and having to wipe with paper. To them, that's not clean. They use water. We use paper in America, so for the most part. So to a Thai coming to a Western toilet and none of them having water, a bidet, or like a little squirter for their butt or something is kind of unusual to them. Like, they don't feel clean just using paper, where Americans pretty much just use paper. So yeah, that's one of those things that it's a cultural thing, man, and it's, you know, it's shocking to me, but I put it up there for Westerners to see. I want to open your mind that there's other things in the world other than your way of living, and that's what makes it so wonderful, is to go to a country. I mean, yeah, that might be disgusting to me, but at the same time, it's a wonderful thing to see. That's a totally different alternative to using the bathroom than what I'm used to. But that is culture, that is life. If we all were the same culture and the same, we'd be very bored. There wouldn't be these beautiful, intricate little things that we find in other cultures that we like so much. You know, beautiful dances and music and, you know, just art and everything. It's different in every culture, and that's what makes it great. Respect it. Don't make assumptions on other people's way of life as being wrong, just because your moral belief is what your moral belief is. Like I said, when it comes to Thailand, that's something, and I get a lot of people, again, telling me all about Thailand that have never been there. Wow. I mean, I don't even know how to, it's pretty obvious, right? If you've never been there, maybe before you speak of it, you should go there. It's like you have two men that claim to be a wise man. You have a man who, through self-experience, learned everything he learned. You have a man who learned what others said, and then they learned from what others said, and they learned from what others said. Well, grapevine, guess what? You're probably not right. The guy who actually learned it for himself and studied it usually has a better grasp of what it is. Not saying you can't learn from others, but when you're dealing with somebody who learned on their own in that country, you probably shouldn't tell them they don't know what they're talking about when they've lived there. It's like going to an American and saying, you don't know anything about America, but yet you've lived in Africa your whole life, and you've never been to America. So that's kind of the idea. I get a lot of people like that, and that scares me for the education system in my own country. Seriously. I have a son now, as some of you know, my followers, my little fan club that follow me around and watch my videos. I have a son now, and I've had to really ponder a lot of these questions. They've always been in my mind at some point or another, but I've had to really examine them closer now due to him. And I don't want to raise him in a Western school system. Thai school system, yes. Now, do the Thais have the same money that we do in our school system? No. Do they have a good education system? I believe so. I don't think it's a bad education system. I'm scared about my American school system. I'm not really happy with it. And the only way seems to get a decent education in the United States now is to put them in private school at $40,000 a year or something. Yeah, that's a lot of money to go for something that I'm already paying a ton of taxes for. Yeah. So this school system we have here, in my view, that has 10 times the money of the Thai school system. Why do I feel the education's not on par with Thailand? That's a good question. But another thing about their economy, Thai economy, I have people asking me this. I have a pretty good extensive knowledge of economies, world economies, GDPs, how things work in the stock markets, because I dabble in the stock market here in the United States. I've worked as a broker. I understand commodities very well. And I mean, basically, it's hard to explain to somebody who's a layman in this field to understand world economics and how a certain country can be better off than another, but I can try to put it as simply as possible. The way you can look at Thailand is people are like, oh, well, we get $1 American dollar, get 30 of their dollars. It's not, well, you can't look at currency in that way. It's not how trade works. So that's one economic indicator. Another economic indicator is their GDP, the per capita per citizen. Per capita, Thailand is, let's say, I think it is about 10,000 per citizen. So the 10,000 per capita, and the U.S. is like 55,000 per capita. Okay, so to explain this to you in a simple way, that looks like, oh, well, they're 1/5 of the U.S., so they're living horribly. Well, they're also less than 1/5 the size of the U.S. too. So it's a much smaller country too. So of course their economy is going to be smaller. The real way to look at it, though, is I mean, there's no better way than just to get on the ground and ask the people, are they happy? When you really look at somebody's cost of living and way of living, of whether it's sustainable for them, you go to the U.S. at the average wage, and let's just say, for instance, and this kind of works out to what it's really like. Let's say you make $1,000 a month in the U.S. Okay, break that over 4 weeks. Let's say some months are 5, but let's break it over 4 weeks. $250 a week. Your monthly expenses, your basic cost of living, your housing, electric, water, and food. These are the things you need to survive. Okay, we can, well, yeah, I mean, you can get away. Now, see, here's another thing about your culture. Do you need electricity? You know, that gets into a whole nother realm. But basically what this works out to is if you had $1,000 a month of income, and your expenses for your basic needs as an American standard of living is electric, water, food, and housing, was $500 a month. There's 50% of your income every month gone. And to tell the truth, though, most American average incomes That's not the case. You're actually spending way more than 50% of your income on your needs to survive nowadays. Housing is so high, and I mean, food alone is getting ridiculous, and inflation is what it is. And part of, I get in the whole Bernanke and printing QE 1 through 4, all the spending of money, and putting all this, flooding the market with money, devaluing the dollar, destabilizing, running debt up, all this. I can get into that whole thing for you to explain that to you. But our cost of living is much higher than in Thailand. So if you look at it, let's say $1,000 a month, if you're spending $500 on your basic needs to survive. So you have spendable capital at the end of the month of $500. So you have that $500 to go out and get a haircut, go to a movie, whatever, okay? So your quality of life goes up the more expendable money you have at the end of the month, okay? So if you're, now go to Thailand. Now they're getting $100 a month. Let's just say $100 a month of income. Now to us, that's like, oh man, how do you survive on that? It's $100 a month. And this goes back to the Cubans and how Castro kind of convinced his people that they couldn't survive in America. That was one of his ploys to keep Cubans from wanting to leave and come to America. As he said, hey, he'd grab like a newspaper article out of a sale paper actually out of the United States and show it to his people on the news and say, hey, look at the cost of this. One pound of rice is $4 and we have it for 50 cents. You know what I mean? You couldn't afford to buy rice in that country. And the real fact was that you make more money here, therefore you can afford more to spend on stuff. It's a different economy. It's the same thing with Thailand. Just because, let's say they make $100 a month and you're making $1,000 doesn't make you living any better than them. You have to do the burden calculation. Burden calculation, you have to break down what it is that their expenditures are a month, how much liquidable asset they have every month, how much money can they throw into other things. So let's take that $100 a month. Their whole expenditure, let's say, in a month is $10. So right now they have 10% of their income is for their basic needs: housing, water, electric, and food. After that, they have 90% liquidable asset that they can use to go out and enjoy themselves, save, put it into savings, do whatever they want with it. Yeah, you start to understand this. And if you actually break down the cost of living in Thailand, the net income a month for a Thai, most Thais make at least $1,000 a month. 30,000 baht a month is about what most Thais make. I mean, I even was offered, when I was in Thailand, I heard about the position and I could have took it if I wanted, which was I wasn't really interested. And it wasn't because I was a Westerner, it was because anybody could have had it, a Thai, whatever, they just needed somebody. And a restaurant that I frequented in Thailand quite a bit and really wanted to know the recipes of how they cook. My wife let me know that there was a sign there asking for somebody to be a dishwasher. They worked 5 days a week, about 8 hours a day, washing dishes, and they got paid $1,000 a month, 30,000 baht a month. So that pretty much, I mean, if you break it down, in Thailand, $1,000 a month is about an average living in Thailand. It's pretty good, and you can afford to survive. Your rent, now a Thai can live cheaply, if it's just you, renting an apartment over there. You can, and cold water, doesn't have to have hot water, because Thais, again, can handle living like that. They don't mind it. You can get that for 50, 60 bucks a month, an apartment. Like, seriously, that's what they can do. They can, rent a place like mine, which is really nice. Hot water, everything brand new, security guard, all that stuff for, $130 a month. Do you see the cost of living there? Do you get the idea? It's way cheaper. Now, the average worker probably in the U.S. is making about $2,000 a month. And that's a pretty decent living when the minimum wage is way lower, right? Right? So if you think about it, you're making $2,000 a month, double what the Thai's making, but at the same time, the average rent here in Palm Beach County, Florida, where I am, is $1,000 a month. There's half of your money just in your rent. Not even consider your water, electric, food. Electric bill, about $250, $200 in the summer. This is here in Florida. I mean, this is just average stuff. Your water bill, 40 bucks a month, some 50 bucks a month, sometimes 70, I guess, with watts. But if you want a sprinkler system, you're going to pay more with city water sprinkler. But I mean, who needs a sprinkler system? See, this is where Buddhist culture generally states, live meagerly. You don't need all this stuff, because all this stuff you carry around weighs you down. And I've become a minimalist, and that's kind of what I call it's a minimalist way of thinking. We don't need the big SUV. Why do I need that? I'm just going to pay more gas for it. I don't really need to transport a whole family. It's just me, so I'll buy a smaller car that saves more gas. That's a minimalist way of view. Now, not everybody wants to live like that, but because somebody else chooses to be a minimalist, do you force them to buy an SUV? Hello. That's what I break it down to anyway. And I mean, I can go on with this all day and give you a PhD in world economics and Wayne's certificate of completion for you. I'll even print it up. I can do that, but I don't want to, and don't need the time to do it, let alone want to bother with it. I just wanted to make this video to kind of state a general point that respect other cultures. Just because they're not yours doesn't mean they aren't happy. Thais are very happy in their culture, for the most part. I mean, there's always an exception to every rule. Could be a guy who got a bad break, doesn't like living there, or whatever. That's fine. Just like me in America, I'm not real happy with American culture. But it doesn't mean I hate Americans. I just don't really view it as my way of living anymore. Do I like the minimalist way of living? Yes, and I'm trying to get there as much as I can by liquidating everything I have. I'm just so tired of carrying around so much. When you achieve so much in life to where you have so much to carry around, you have so much to worry about too. I mean, I got to worry with a safe in my house, somebody breaking in and taking it. That's a constant worry. Now, do I keep it there? Do I pay the bank to keep safety deposit box? This is the kind of things that you have to worry about when you carry so much stuff and you keep so much like that. With little to carry around, but the basic needs, do I need all this other stuff? And in Thai society, I can live very simply, and I don't need to carry around all this stuff because everything's affordable and right there where I can get it. Do I need to have a refrigerator to store food? Why? When I can go to the corner and eat a meal for $1 that I'd pay $20 for here in America. Do I need to have a fridge to save leftovers? No, I just order what I eat and I eat what I eat. And that's another thing I like about the way they serve food in Thailand. It's like, you get a bowl, you eat that. If you want more, you order another bowl. Instead of ordering a whole bunch and then not being able to eat it all and having to save it. It's a whole nother culture. It's a whole nother way of living. To the people who have not been to Thailand or even Southeast Asia, please, before you speak about it and tell people how the living is there, go there, live there. And I'm not talking even for 2 weeks. Go for at least 3 months. Go to Thailand, live in Thailand, see how it is. Go to Bangkok, spend some time there. Go to Chiang Mai in the north, go to Krabi in the south, Koh Samui. It's different, and you got to remember Thailand is not one place. Like, I mainly film Bangkok, so you're seeing a lot of Bangkok in my videos. But Chiang Mai is a totally different atmosphere, almost different culture, the way they do things. And the same in the south. I mean, you have a Muslim society in the south, which can be pretty violent. I don't recommend a lot of travel in the 4 southernmost districts of Thailand, because there is kind of a civil war type thing going on there right now between the Buddhists and the Muslims and everything down there. But for the most part, Thailand's very safe to travel in. And if you ask me, it's much safer than the U.S. I can walk down the street in Thailand with a $5,000 camera around my neck through some of the places that look like the most impoverished hoods in the world, and people invite me in for a meal. Now, you go to an impoverished neighborhood in America and walk through with a $5,000 camera around your neck, you're probably going to get robbed. Hey, kind of truth, right? So, that's the thing, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope maybe some people learned something, and please, before you guys comment and tell me about what Thailand's like and you've never been there, please just go and learn about it a little bit, and then come back and go and actually live in the society for a little while. You don't gain knowledge by having a closed mind. you gain knowledge by opening your mind to experience new things and have more understanding. Ask questions. It's a great thing to do. Some of you might have noticed my lovely chain. This is actually an import from Thailand that I brought. It's chain mail. They're very nice, stainless steel made. This is a 50-50 chain with the, I'm Buddhist, so I have a Buddhist amulet on it. You don't have to. I actually have another website now that I've put up that I'm going to be bringing in products for from Thailand for people. I've had a lot of comments from some Buddhists in America, which I found when I converted to Buddhism before I ever even went to Southeast Asia. I studied many religions, and I found that Buddhism was one that I felt was more along my form of belief system. It's not for everybody, but it was for me. So therefore, that's why I converted as a spiritual Buddhist. I don't partake to any specific genre of Buddhism, but I am in the same mind frame as Buddhism. So anyway, I found when I tried to find Buddhist things, Buddhas for one, things like that, here in the U.S. was really hard, and everything I found was very low grade, cheap plastic crap, basically. I couldn't find anything of good quality. So I made these websites to try to help some of my fellow Buddhists and people that are just interested in, things like this that they would like. And I put up 2 websites. I've got them joined together right now, and eventually they will separate to handle 2 different areas. One is rarethaimports.com, www.rarethaimports.com, and between Thai and import, the 2 I's. So that one is going to handle all the flow for right now, and it's an e-commerce, and I'm putting up stuff for people that are interested. I also have buymybuddha.com, www.buddha.com. And buymybuddha.com will be selling things like Buddhas. Yes, there's a brass one. This one I picked up in Thailand. I'm going to be selling ones similar to this and just like this. This is one of mine that I personally kept for myself, and I'm going to be putting these on the site for people to see. Again, 2 sites are joined together, so it's going to be a mix of products, but Rare Thai Imports will be bringing in things like this, which can be used for Buddhism too. This is actually chainmail stainless steel with barrel beads on it. This is what I call a 50-50 chain. I have many other ones too here, if I could show you. I'm also bringing in these stainless steel Figaros. Some of you guys like this stuff, so I'm bringing these in. They're going to go on the site. I have some that are gold and silver too, not actual metal, but gold color, silver metal color, but they're all stainless. So I have those, the dyed ones, the regular stainless like this. I'm going to be putting them all up. I have thicker chainmail ones like this, which are all chainmail. These are really nice for people. A lot of people will enjoy these. And it's something directly from Thailand, made in Thailand, not made in China. This one's a little different. It's got the Buddha on it. And I have other ones with the Lord of Destruction from the Hinduism on it. Thais respect the Hindus too. Again, big thick ones like this for some of my viewers. And then I have thinner ones like this for a little more feminine. This is solid chainmail. It's all chainmail. So that's the links are put together. This is called the King's Link. This was the King's armor. Used to be lined with the chainmail, the King's Link. So yeah, I have a whole lot of these. Again, more 50-50 barrels, different types of barrels in between the King's Link chainmail. So you get the idea. I get them with these little things to add a charm to and without. So you can order them off the website. I'm starting to put things up. I'm importing more stuff now, so more stuff should go up. Here's another one. This is a bead and chainmail. It's very nice. Goes back to that 90s raver type ball, stainless steel ball jewelry, but with a twist on it. These are really neat. A lot of people are liking these. I've already got a lot of orders. But I'm just giving you guys an idea. Again, other Buddhas that'll be going up on site and stuff like this. The Buddhas will eventually be, the hardcore Buddhist stuff like this will be more from buymybuddha.com. Eventually the sites will split, and then rare Thai imports will handle more of this kind of stuff. Again, I have Hindu gods, which also are respected by Buddhists, and stuff like that. Little ones like this, if people want to have small. These are brass, by the way. I also have bronze, things like this. Even little tiny ones if people want, you know, small stuff. In Thailand, the taxi drivers and everybody put these in their cars, the little ones on their dashboard. So people might be interested in those. Even these, this one's actually made of wood, but it's nice. They'll all be marked on there. This is going to be the average size here. It's the nice little 20 centimeter, 25 centimeter, I think this is. That's 25 centimeters. And I'll do those in inches for my Westerners or Americans too. So you know, it's about a foot, almost a foot tall. 1 foot is 30 centimeters. So basically, that'll give you the idea. These sites are starting to up and run right now. I also have howtotravelthailand.com. That's a free information site. If you have information or a website that you would like to put on howtotravelthailand.com, give me a message. Let me know. I'll review it. If I feel it's good information for people on my site, I'll add a link to your site on there. Or if you have, you know, a video on YouTube that you want to have added to that site for people to view it, because maybe you give some kind of information that helps people travel in Thailand, or you know of, you know, good places to eat or a way to get, you know, something done. Send me an email, let me know, show me your site. We'll discuss it. If I feel it's good for the site and it's good for people traveling to Thailand, then I will add it to the site. You know, you'll have people come view your site from that site. And the same, if you feel your website could use links from my websites, let me know, and I'll set up a link for you where you can put it onto your page, and we'll cross traffic. My actual goal is to help people trying to travel to Thailand to understand culture a little more, how to get around, how to, you know, maybe speak some Thai. You know, I know a few apps on the phones now that teach you how to speak Thai and how to count in Thai. Things that I think are helpful for the first-time visitor to Thailand, and the expert too. There's always little bits of information that can help somebody. That's what's going to go on. I'm not sure when, but I'm going to be adding a message board to it, and it's going to be like a blog spot with message boards where you can post what you want on howtotravelthailand.com. I will mediate it and keep track of, you know, make sure there's no rude and insultful stuff being put on there. But I want it to be a fun and friendly community for information to help each other out in for when you're traveling there. And so that, I'm not sure when I'm going to be doing that. Hopefully it'll be this year, of course. Could be in a few months. And I'll add that to that website, and then we'll go from there. And my e-commerce sites of buymybuddha.com, again, will be showing these kind of things for to help Buddhists to in America especially, and elsewhere, anywhere in the world, to access quality Buddhist items. You know, because too much I see little plastic, flimsy, I mean, just really crappy stuff, and that seems to be all you can get here. So again, and the price is kind of steep too. I mean, I've seen a Buddha this big made of composite material, and it's selling for $100. I was like, are you really serious? You know, I mean, it's not even made of bronze or brass or copper or anything of, you know, a better quality metal or anything. So, and the detail's really bad on it. So you know, I do that just mainly, of course, I need to make some money off it to make me able to do it, because I put a lot of my time into my websites, and I put a lot of my time into any of my internet stuff, period. Even my YouTube and everything, and massive amount of hours to do the filming and put them uploading alone. I mean, especially when I'm in Thailand, I mean, it can take me, some of my internet connections to upload 5 minutes of video can take 4 hours, you know. So I mean, it takes a good chunk of my time. So yes, I do profit from my websites, but pretty much the main reason I started them was I felt a need for good Buddhist quality stuff to get here in America. I just couldn't find it. It was just too much stuff I'm not saying the Chinese are bad. We're the ones that order it from them and tell them to make it so cheap. But honestly, too much really cheaply made Chinese plastic, Buddhist stuff and a lot of people I know, Westerners, don't even realize that there's differences in Buddhas. They'll look at like this statue, and a lot of Westerners won't even realize this is Buddhist, the Buddha. They might think it's something else because everybody's used to the bald, fat Chinese Buddha. Well, that's Chinese Buddhism. Chinese Buddhism is much different than most other Buddhisms. Their views and the way things are much different than their. It's like a whole nother culture. I mean, a whole nother Buddhism almost. And then, so yeah, again, respect other cultures. Don't expect them to live the way you do. Don't expect your values to be theirs. And again, on the sex thing, a Buddhist culture, a Buddhist way of thinking is that a sex worker is not a bad position in life. A sex worker is providing pleasure to somebody, and if they're happy doing it and don't have a problem with it, then that's fine. Like I said, I know a sex worker that does it, and she's very happy. She makes a very good living, lives in a very nice place, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, she could have a million other jobs. She's college educated, and she can find a job very easily in Thailand. Does she choose that? No. Just like the actor chooses to be an actor because they like what they're doing and it makes a lot of money. Hey, can you knock them for it? Like I said, and as far as sex slavery, I mean, you can go down to the red light districts of in Bangkok alone, Soy Cowboy, whatever, and one day be walking Soy Cowboy film like I do filming with my wife, no hanky-panky, and walking through Soy Cowboy, and I'll see prostitutes, and they'll come up and say hi to me or talk to me or whatever. And the next day, and my wife has seen this personally, she knows, she's a Thai, she knows exactly what it's all about, but we walk inside a mall in Thailand and literally see the same girl who was just working in the sex trade at Soy Cowboy in the mall buying $1,000 iPhone or a $500 dress. And like I said, it's not like she's forced to work in this industry. She chooses to work in that industry. To her, it's not a problem. She enjoys her job. It doesn't, maybe she doesn't enjoy every guy she sleeps with. Maybe not. Maybe she does. Who knows? That's her thing. But if she's capable of handling it and is okay with doing that job, just like the garbage guy. A lot of guys don't want to stand on the back of that truck and smell that smell all day. Do they have a problem with it? No. Obviously, they're doing it. Then they can sustain doing it. Do we all like our jobs? Not everybody. Some people do. Some people don't. So if you get a job that you love and you're making good money, then do it. But I know a lot of girls in the U.S. that do a lot more sex than the Thai prostitutes do, and they do it for free, and that's just because they enjoy it. They enjoy having sex. Now, is that a bad thing? In a Christian society, yes, that is. In a Buddhist society, not necessarily. Is slavery and sex slavery and things like that an abuse a bad thing? Yes, very much it is, and it shouldn't happen. But if somebody's doing it of their own free will, then who are we to tell them that it's wrong? For one, when you're raised in a Christian society, let's just say, if you use the Lord's name in vain, how would you know that was wrong if somebody didn't tell you? Okay? If you see a young child, they don't have shyness. A young child will walk around naked, 3-4 years old, and not think anything of it. They learn from us what our society says is right and wrong. So later on, they grow a shyness and want to cover up, because all they see is people that cover up, and they're told to cover up. Therefore, is it right, or, I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you were in a society where everybody was naked and nudism, there's a lot of nudist colonies pop up in the U.S. now, and you were raised in a society that was the norm, and you were okay with it, who's to say it's wrong? Again, when you're in another society or in another culture, have respect for it. Don't expect them to live the way you live. Okay? That's all this basically boils down to. I think I beat the horse enough about that one. And again, please open your mind and understand that other people are not the way you live. The reason I bring up all this is I get so many questions. I get told a million which ways from Sunday that I'm a horrible person because I filmed the red light district, or I married a Thai girl, therefore I paid for her and she's my slave wife. Actually, me and my wife laugh about that one. The whole slave wife thing, you know, I tell her all the time, like, yeah, you're my slave, do what I say. She goes, okay, master. It's a joke. My wife is not a slave at all, and I don't view Thai women as slaves at all in their relationships. Is there some problems with certain things in Thai culture compared to ours? Maybe, but maybe their relationships aren't exactly like Western's relationships, but I can promise you this, my wife is not a slave wife, and I did not purchase her. And some people know that I paid a dowry for my wife to her family. That is a Thai culture and custom, and I really recommend you do a lot of good reading from Thais and educated people about the sinsat and Thai dowry system before you make an assumption of what it is. Nobody's selling anybody. It's not where they're forced to marry just because you're paying their parents or anything. It's nothing like that. She goes to her parents and says she wants to marry me, and then sinsat gets discussed. Sinsat, the Thai dowry system, is actually it's up to your view, but in my view it's not that bad of a system, because it kind of makes the man prove to the family that he can financially support and take care of their daughter. It shows that, and it also shows that he cares enough to part with his money, and for a Westerner that's a lot to do. A lot of Western men do not want to part with their money for women, and it goes back to a lot of cultural things. But yes, in Thai culture, you know, it's another culture. It's not your culture, so view it for what it is. Ask the Thais how they feel about it. They've been doing it for a long time for a reason. And I'll make another video here soon about Thai sinsat and culture. It's a video that needs to be made, I think. There's a lot of disinformation out there. I mean, I get people commenting, hey, you have a beautiful wife, you know, how much did you pay for her? And, you know, I get a real kick out of that stuff. It's kind of depressing. Actually, it's sad that people actually think like that. But no, I didn't pay for my wife. But then they'll ask questions like, you know, where can I buy a wife? I got that one recently. Where can I buy a Thai girl? And how much should I pay? That's one of those things, man. It's pretty sad that people think like that. But anyway, so again, I'll make another video that deals with dowries and sinsats and multicultural dowries, because Thailand's not the only dowry-related country. India does too. It's the other way around. That way, men don't pay the dowry to the parents for women. In Indian culture, the family pays the man who's marrying their daughter. Arranged marriage, yes, this stuff did go on in China, and it goes on in the Middle East, and it goes on in many places. That's their culture. Again, you know, not everything is on your standards. I don't need to keep beating that dead horse, do I? So I hope you enjoyed it again, Wayne Talks, and I hope you guys go and check out my websites, www.rarethaimports.com and www.buymybuddha.com, and howtotravelthailand.com, and how HOW2 travel TRAVEL Thailand.com. And I hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, that's about it. So I'll make more videos for you soon. Thank you.